I'm on page 85 of your Osborne books, exercise 1, formatting including data validation and presentation. In this first exercise, we're going to create a simple time recording spreadsheet to record details of time spent on a client work by a firm of accountants. Stage 1. In this stage, we'll create a basic layout of our spreadsheet. All text should be entered in the default typeface of font size 10. So you'll need to double click on your Excel icon, go to new and then blank document. As we want all font type to be 10, we're going to click on the triangle and then we're going to change it to 10. That way we're making sure that every single cell is defaulted with the size 10. We're going to move to sheet 1 and we're going to rename it time record. So click on it, right click and then time record. When you're done, press enter. In A1, we want to type client work log. In A3, we want to type name. In B3, we want a thin, solid black border all the way around and we want it filled with a light grey. So to do a black border around the cell, we're going to come to this icon here, which is our borders. As we want a thin outside border, we'll click outside border. We want a fill. So I call it the paint count, but it's really called the fill colour. So if you click on the drop down, you can then choose the colour you like. If you can't find the colours you like, click on more colours. But they want a light grey, so I'm just going to choose that. When I click off, you'll see the black border and the fill. In A4, we want department. Now we also want a black border around our cell and a grey fill. I could either click on the border in the paint can or I could use the format painter. If I click on it once, it will paint the cell once wherever I click. If I want it more than once, then I could basically double click and it will format my cell to be exactly the same as the cell that I had already formatted. But I don't want that, so I'm just going to quickly undo. And when you finish, click off. You'll know it's off because the dotted lines will have disappeared. In A5, we want month. So I'm just going to type month in. We want to apply data validation in B5. And we want to basically do it so that we can pick the months for the year. Data validation is basically a drop-down list. So to do that, we're going to go to Data and then Data Validation. Click on the drop-down and you've got Data Validation here. Now, Settings, Input Message and Error Alert. Settings is basically what your drop-down list is going to be about. So if I click on the drop-down, if you're dealing with numbers, you'll choose whole number. If there's decimal places, decimal places. If you're creating your own list, time, date, text length, if you want to customize it to a specific length, and then you've got your own custom. So as long as you know what the data is, then you know what you're going to choose. Mainly, it'd be list. In your source, if you're typing it in manually, as we are, we're going to be typing in the months, but we want the first 3 letters of each month. So Jan, comma, space, Feb, comma, space, March, comma, space, April, comma, space, and all the way till December. Just check that you've spelled everything correct, check that everything is consistent, and then you'll just click OK. When you click OK, you'll see a drop-down list, and then you can select what you want. But I'm just going to go back to data validation because I want to explain the other two. Input message is basically if you're creating a data validation for someone else to use, then you want to tell them exactly what should be going in that field. So you've got a title, or you could just put the input message. An error alert, you've got 3 types of error alerts: stop, warning and information. And again, if you're going to be using one of these, you need to put an error message so that if they're doing it wrong, the message comes up to prompt them to do it correctly. We will be looking at the input message and the error message later on, so I won't cover it all now. We now want to basically put a thin border around the cell and a light grey. So I'm just going to format it by clicking on the painter and then click. And there we have it. We want to widen column A so that all the text fits in. So I'm just going to go between A and B, double click. And I want to widen column B so it's long enough to fit a first name and surname. We're now going to save our worksheet as T3 exercise 1. As it's the first time, save as. And when you're done, just click save. And there we have it. Our first worksheet is now done.